Every day, fans of the Titanfall series wake up with a glimmer of hope that one day the franchise will have a new release. But here's the reality. Titanfall 3 was being worked on for 10 months. Respawn developer Mohamed Alavi became the lead narrative designer for Titanfall 3. He had pitched the mission, the story, the entire game, but they wanted Titanfall 3 to be revolutionary. Not just Titanfall 2, but a little bit better. They wanted it to really pave a way in the gaming space. And with a little inspiration from PUBG, yes, I'm not kidding, Titanfall 3 ultimately became Apex Legends and the Titanfall franchise slipped away into darkness. And that's just the beginning. Yesterday, news spread that EA cuts would affect 5% of its workforce by either moving them to other projects or basically firing them. It will go on to affect around 700 employees over at EA. And in an email to staff announcing the layoffs, the CEO, Andrew Wilson, said the cuts were part of a continuing effort to optimize our global real estate footprint to best support our business. In order to achieve its goals, Wilson said EA will be streamlining its company operations, sunsetting games and moving from development of future licensed IPs that we do not believe will be successful in our changing industry. Additionally, they'll double down on their biggest opportunities, including our owned IP, sports, and massive online communities. So in this change, EA want to focus more on their bigger IPs, the moneymakers such as Apex Legends, and definitely not Titanfall, and plenty of other potential new releases. So any hopes of Titanfall 3 are really sinking. Apex just makes EA so much money that they believe the Titanfall franchise isn't optimized to do. But none of this is great for gaming in general, as they don't take risks to try new projects and innovative concepts. They want to double down and stick to their moneymakers. At this point, they might as well just release an Apex Legends item shop simulator. But what's far worse is those that are affected by these layoffs. We've seen far too much of this recently in the gaming industry, with the paralleling situation at Sony where 900 workers were laid off in their PlayStation division. And this isn't the first time EA has had major layoffs. In fact, around this time last year, EA had plans to let go of 6% of their workforce. But in this move to focusing on their owned IPs rather than taking risks with new potential games, one of the titles confirmed to be cancelled was in fact a brand new Star Wars FPS game, which was reportedly a Mandalorian title. Now this was a game many were looking forward to, and I even mentioned that I'd like to see a Star Wars crossover event in Apex, maybe give us a lightsaber heirloom and Star Wars themed cosmetics, and even some kind of game mode to go with it. But this isn't looking as likely anymore since this new Star Wars FPS game has been cancelled, but it may still happen with new Jedi Survivors games that EA will still be releasing, as this is one of their most successful games. But bringing it back to Titanfall, some of you may not be aware about a future Titanfall release that was cancelled last year. This was a single player game being produced by a team of 50 people over at Respawn, under the director Mohamed Alavi. That's right, the same director who worked on all the Titanfall games and was working on Titanfall 3. Now this new single player Titanfall game was called Titanfall Legends, and it was believed that one of the game's main characters was going to be Kuban Bliss, which lines up with the Apex lore, as over the last few years, Kuban Bliss' presence has been lacking in the Apex universe. Where had he gone? Well, probably to experience the events of the Titanfall Legends single-player Titanfall Apex crossover game. And now we'll just never see any of that game reach the surface, as the developers were faced with the same challenge that current employees face in the latest set of layoffs. That's right, EA axed the development of Titanfall Legends, and the employees were made redundant if there wasn't any other department for them to move to. So what began as Titanfall 3 being cancelled and turning into the Apex Legends Battle Royale that we know today, we've seen consistent setbacks in the potential release of a future Titanfall IP, with the most recent layoffs and changes over at EA pretty much confirming that they just want to double down on their biggest games like Apex Legends and not take any risks for a future game like Titanfall 3 that they've already tried multiple times and it seems to fail each time. But there is a bright side to this for a lot of you watching, as I know a lot of you are Apex Legends fans, and even if you did like the Titanfall franchise, Apex might leave a bitter taste in your mouth, but over the years, I've definitely had a lot of fun with Apex, and the good news for Apex is that EA will be focusing on Apex more and moving more employees over to working on Apex. And with the recent changes that we've seen in Season 20, along with exciting news of an expanding Apex lore universe, it is an exciting time for Apex, and I'm sure Apex will continue to see big expansions and changes like ones we've seen in Season Season 20. And with even more focus being shifted to IPs like Apex Legends, the chance of an Apex Legends series similar to League of Legends Arcane are increasing. Now, this is something that's been talked about for a very long time. Developers have often teased that they'd like to do a series, or that maybe there was one in the works that they can't disclose. We also know that the CEO of EA has shared that they're optimistic about Apex Legends and growing the live service game at the same time as offering new products in the context of blockbuster storytelling, and growing these products similar to how Marvel and Star Wars have grown, in the way that there are games and series and films all surrounding the specific IPs. So an Apex series would be amazing, as long as that doesn't get cancelled either, but it looks like things are on the up for Apex. But at what cost? No new Titanfall games in sight, even if at the very least Apex implemented more from Titanfall into its game. Like, I know a lot of people have said they'd like to see Titanfall characters as legends in the Apex universe. Is this something you'd like, or would this just be salt in the wound? The same goes for Titans. Would you like to see Titans come to Apex? These are things that the Apex developers have already toyed with. In fact, we did see leaks of Kuban Blisk being a potential legend in the game who did have an ability where he could call in a Titan. Imagine Apex with so much more Titanfall sprinkled in that we have Titans roaming around. But we are seeing more of Titanfall appearing in Apex. In fact, in Season 20, there is a huge mechanic from Titanfall showing up in Apex Legends, and that is the Time Gauntlet from the Titanfall 2 storyline, where the Time Gauntlet was used to shift between points in time to make your way around obstacles and traverse an ever-changing time-shifting map. It was a really cool side of the Titanfall 2 storyline, and in Season 20, Horizon actually has a hold of a Time Gauntlet that she is going to refurbish into a glove in order to try and time travel back in time to see her son. And we will very likely see some kind of in-game quest or story that we can play through, and if they don't let us use a Time Gauntlet like you could back in Titanfall 2, then they've made a serious mistake. But I have faith that the Apex developers will definitely pay more tributes to Titanfall, and in this upcoming time travel lore, we will be able to use a Time Gauntlet in Apex Legends like you could in Titanfall. I mean, it has to happen. If they're just going to focus on Apex, I'd still like them to sprinkle in some Titanfall lore, and I know they do constantly do this. In fact, you can actually see a pilot's helmet in the Apex Museum on World's Edge. So we'll never forget that at the heart of Apex Legends lies Titanfall, but when we keep getting news like we did today, it's hard to think we'll ever get what we want. But let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. You may also be someone affected by this, or you might know someone who works in the gaming industry that has been affected by layoffs like this, or you're someone who wants to share your thoughts or frustrations about the ongoing battle to getting a new Titanfall game. Either way, share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.